Welcome to the Hard to Kill podcast, the official podcast of the Hard to Kill program, the world's leading program for driven individuals looking to gain direction and momentum, where we aim to break down the complex, multifaceted and holistic factors of human performance and optimization. Both on the program and on this podcast, we will be discussing and excavating everything pertaining to psychological resilience, physical robustness, and leading by example with discipline and tenacity to create a culture of winning, especially in the turbulent, frenetic, and high-tempo world of the ambitious individual. This is Mark, the creator, senior DS, and head coach of the Hard to Kill program. Let's get stuck straight into it.
So on today's episode, we are welcoming the first guest to Series 2 of the Hard to Kill podcast, none other than Mr. Owen Livesey. So first and foremost, Owen, massively appreciate you giving us your time today. Welcome to the podcast, mate.
Oh, thanks for having us on, mate.
So first things first, I'm pretty sure that everyone listening is going to know who you are and will at least have seen you put one person through the fucking floor. But can you help us understand who you are, a little bit about your background and how you've got to where you are today, mate? Start us off.
Yeah, I've just been I've been a full-time athlete in one sport for a long time. From around 16 years old, I was living up north. I moved down south to train judo full-time. Judo was my focus then, up till I was about 26. More or less solely judo as well. Probably the last 4 years of my judo career, we started cross-training with Carlson Gracie team down south. Started bringing a bit of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu into it. So I was full-time in judo for around 10 years. In that time, I got 6 British titles, 10 World Cup medals, 4 European Cup medals, Commonwealth Games title. Just missed out on qualifying for the Games by literally a place or two. Then I ended up being a wrestling coach for a rugby club in Hull KR. Did about a year there, opened my own place at the same time, and now I've started dabbling and competing a bit of grappling, and it's going well at the minute.
You started dabbling.
Yeah.
Understatement, mate. Yeah. So obviously it goes without saying you've got a wealth of experience, not only in training in high performance environments, but also competing in them as well. You did a post on Instagram probably a couple of months ago that I really liked and massively resonated with, that competing is a skill in itself. Obviously you could like me, I'm basically a hobbyist these days. Training is one thing, but competing is an entirely different skill set in itself, understanding how you respond to high pressure situations. And I like your ethos with grappling, that all this fancy shit is great for Instagram and it might work in the gym when you're having a dick about, but when you're ball bagged at the end of a 20 minutes of only, you're only going to be able to fall back on the stuff, the meat and potatoes that you really know works. How much of what you learn in that judo environment do you still carry over to your game today?
99%.
Yeah.
It's like the results I'm getting at the minute in grappling genuinely is purely 98% down to judo and what I've done in the past.
Yeah.
I've obviously got a massive training background. I've done a ridiculous amount of mat time over the 10 years. I've been in some really uncomfortable positions in judo, been to some crazy countries, some crazy training camps, got absolutely battered, but stuck it out to the point where kind of like to think now, I could be put into more or less any situation within grappling. I could be thrown into one of the most high pressured environments, if you like, in grappling, and I could deal with it pretty easily. I think my mindset helps a lot with my performances. I think when people get to these big shows, you spar with people in the gym and they're phenomenal, and they get to the big shows and they fall apart. They have 10 minutes to show what they've got. I feel like some people fall to bits on the big stage, and I'd like to think that I completely overperform. So I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
In training, I get caught a lot, and I'm not even bothered 1% when I do get caught. It's just training. I'm like the way I train now is I focus on pushing a pace all the time. So I'm building my condition. I'm doing everything at a fast pace. I'm reacting to things at a fast pace, but I'm also being playful and trying some things and putting myself in bad positions. Literally, if I'm getting caught with something, I'm just tapping and starting again. It doesn't even enter my head. But then when it comes to stepping up and competing, like Frederick Vosgrona would be at Pilates is a classic example. Like, he came to our gym and did a seminar. We sparred for, I think it was a 10-minute round after it, and he absolutely battered me. I couldn't get him off me at all for the whole 10 minutes. And I fought him at Pilates and won pretty comfortably. Like, training to me is just mat time now. It's all about improving.
Yeah.
Taking any of it personal. If someone gets the better of me in a round, I'm not thinking, fucking hell, I won't like to fight them in a competition. In a competition, I completely overperform. And I think I've only learned to use that nervous energy in the right way over a long time of competing. I've turned it around from going to competitions in the past and being on the opposite end of the spectrum, where I've been absolutely battering people in training, turning up to competition and not being able to filter that performance through from training to competition, as over a long period of time, learning from losing and knowing I've underperformed, realising that it doesn't actually matter, no one actually cares. It's slowly span around to being on the other end now, where I'm pretty playful in training, but when it comes to competing, I'd like to think I'm much, much better than I actually am in the gym.
Yeah, 100%. So there's an enormous amount I could draw from that, and it definitely resonates now and aligns with everything that I like to talk about from a psychological and resilience perspective on social media. There's a couple of things there. Is first, you've overcome that fear of failure by losing a lot and being like, oh, hold on, the world doesn't fucking end. Like, I don't get my medal's taken off and there, right? You're a shit cunt. You can't train. Like, nothing actually fucking happens when you lose. No. That's the first thing. The second thing is, like, we look in even how we deliver programming in Hard to Kill, but even how we approach life, there's two distinct phases. There's the discover phase and then there's the demonstrate phase. And a lot of people try and live in that demonstrate phase where they're trying to be a fucking hero in the gym, on the mats, whatever they're performing. They're trying to set PBs and kill themselves all the time, and if they don't, they take it as inherent failure. Whereas actually the role of training, whether it's in the gym or on the mats, is it doesn't fucking matter if you get beaten. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, you're there to learn and discover and build new capabilities, so that when you get to a performance environment where you're on arduous course, promotion carders, competition mats, you can then demonstrate all of the fucking skills that you have. And it falls into the bracket of what we like to call the infinite game. Like, if you're playing a finite game of trying to win training or win that one round in training, then by definition, you're going to be really fucking volatile. Because if you get tapped when you don't think you should have been tapped and you fucking throw your toys out the pram, and we all know people that do it, then you're going to have real psychological demons when it comes to performing on the mats when there's TV cameras there or hundreds of people watching. When you're playing that infinite game and being like, it doesn't matter because I'll get better and I'll come back and I'll fucking do the job next time, then it seems like that's what brings that peace of mind. But what specifically I'm interested in is when you spoke about how you deliberately push the pace on the training mats, because it's probably rarely going to be to that same tempo when it actually comes to competition. So, largely what I wanted to talk about today was that condition element, because, you've got this reputation now. Like I said, everyone would be familiar with you, fucking the highlight reels of putting people through the mats. I wanted to make sure we covered off that stuff about the fact I've been training my ass off. I've been getting smashed. I've been really uncomfortable for 10 years to get to that point, because I think sometimes people try and fucking skip that foundational fundamental block. But now what I want to talk about is basically how you've got your conditioning and your strength and conditioning to the point where it is now. So help us understand what your week looks like at the moment, mate. What have you got going on?
A typical week for me at the moment is I'll spar 6 times a week. So spar every day, Monday to Saturday. Some of them rounds are short and intense. Short rounds for me will be like 5 minutes. In that is like, if it's a 5-minute round, I'm genuinely trying to push the pace as hard as I can for that 5 minutes. We'll have a 1-minute break in between. We'll do about 10 to 12 of them. And then other times I'll just literally spar for 45 minutes without a rest. So obviously that slows the pace down a little bit, but obviously it's more continuous, kind of hits you in a different way. And the reason I like them rounds as well is after like 5 or 6 minutes, your strength element's completely gone out the window. So anywhere you're lacking technically, you'll find out in them rounds. So I spar every day, Monday to Saturday. I lift weights twice a week and I drill twice a week. So I'm doing 10 sessions a week at the moment.
Yeah. And how are you finding your recoverability from that? Obviously, you've got a high performance background. How are you finding recoverability on 10 sessions a week?
Manageable. That's like, I've chopped that down. There's been times, like, I've been crazy in my training over the years. Like, there's been times where I've been hitting like 16 sessions a week. And it's just, I can manage that till about 4 weeks. And what would happen is I'd absolutely smash it out of the water. And then every now and then I'd hit a wall. And I really need like a full week off. Yeah. Which wasn't clever either. So like, kind of like chopped it down now and found the balance where I can spar every day, Monday to Saturday, but I'm targeting specific sessions. So like, some of them sparring sessions is with some of the blue and purple belts in my club. Some of them sparring sessions are with a few different black belts from around the area. So the way I'll do it is, if I'm sparring with some blue and purple belts from my club, I am still pushing a pace, but it's more playful, technical, practicing, trying out some stuff. When I get the better black belts from around my area, then I'm really hitting them rounds hard. So they're like, if you're looking at it, like some people look at a high and low day. Yeah. My high sparring will be when I get all of these black belts. I'm like going probably 90 to 100% pace, trying the things that I'll use competition day. I like putting my legs in sticky positions and really feeling that out and working that out. And then when I go with someone like some of the lads I teach and things like that. I'll keep the pace, but in terms of intensity and physicality, it's a little bit lower.
To bring it down, yeah.
I kind of use my strength sessions as recovery as well a little bit.
Yeah, because although they're high intensity load, and I would assume it's a different stressor. There's no volume being accumulated on your cardiorespiratory system. So I'm very much the same. If I've done a hanging session, like a wrestling session, a couple of hours conditioning and then rounds, and then into grappling, my Garmin's like, you need 3 days off. It's not going to happen. So the next day you do a lifting session in the morning, and yeah, you're a little bit stiff and sore when you start, but then you actually feel better at the end of it. By the end of that day, you're pretty much cleared. So yeah, what I'll take away from that is not necessarily the numbers of certain sessions, but I want to give people an understanding that you pushed it to probably as high as you possibly could in terms of training load, and as a result it became unsustainable. You do a 4-week block and then you do a 4 deload, and that's something that I certainly analyze and observe with, and you will as well in your position. Loads of people come in at sort of the white belt standards and they fall in love with the sport, which is great to see, but then they smash the arse out of it on the mat every single day of the week, and they haven't really built that recoverability or that work capacity yet. And then after a month or two, they're fucking broken souls, and then they get this negative relationship with training and they end up falling off and not staying the course. And as I was always told at the gym I'm at, it's not about who's best, it's about who's fucking left. So then you've regressed it a little bit, and now you found a training schedule that allows you to be consistent and turn up to a high standard day in, day out for months at end. And I think you probably agree that's what's seeing this rapid increase in your performance is, well, not rapid, this continued increase in performance is because it's consistent. The irrespective amount of numbers, that's the underarching philosophy behind it. And then the second thing, obviously, is you have an intent with your training sessions. It's not just go on the mats and hope for the best. It's like, okay, this session is designed to be playful and work on actually like skill acquisition, and then I'm going to test it out. I'm going to fucking battle test it against a high level belt. So that's pretty much what I've taken away from it. So in terms of your strength sessions, then how many strength? You say you're on 2 strength sessions a week at the moment.
2 a week, yeah. It's like I get a lot of questions about my S&C and things, but it just kind of goes back to what you just said again. Like this grappling or whatever it is you're doing, combat sports. It's a long game. Like a lot of people that send me messages over Instagram and things, they want like really quick success. Like, oh, what strength and conditioning do you do? As if they start doing that, they're going to get the same result. Like, mate, my strength and conditioning is the absolute bare minimum. I'm lifting weights twice a week. Them weight sessions are probably 6 to 8 exercises, or 3 to 5 sets of 5 reps on each one. Like, but I've done that for like 15 years. It's like, it's been built over time. And I think that's one massive thing that people need to get head is that, like, it's a long game. There's no quick success with this game. It's like, if someone's been doing it properly, training under a good coach and consistently following a strength conditioning program, they over a long period are going to become really good. Like, there's no secret to that. But there's a lot of, because I don't know why, but grappling's got super popular really quickly at the moment. I think there's a lot of people looking like, oh, I want to do this straight away. It's like, you've kind of got to earn it first.
I like that, mate, because obviously for those listening, Owen and I have actually never really spoken in person before fucking ever. So it's not a guided conversation. I'm not saying say this, that, and the other, but you've come to the exact same message that I perpetrate on social media, which isn't sexy and it doesn't fucking sell, and you can't take a magic pill and there's no shiny label on it, but you've just got to fucking play the long game. And I've always said that you've got to look at, okay, where's the actual goal, the dream, the inspiration and the aspiration, and reverse engineer and then find ways to enjoy the process so you can consistently turn up week in, week out and enjoy it for the next fucking 10 years. And that's our philosophy as a coach, and it probably is at your gym as well, is that I don't give a shit where you're at the end of the next 4 weeks, the end of the year. I'm looking, when I work with a person, of how can I set them up on a trajectory that means they're going to be at X place in 10 years from today. And grappling is probably the epitome of that, because you have, like, from my experience, I've only been training for a couple of years, there's months, maybe a month at a time when I feel like I'm absolutely dog shit because I'm trying to work on something new. So I'm putting myself in shit situations and I'm getting smashed every fucking session that I'm in there. And there's other times when I've mastered that and like I've fucking worked a new pass and I'm like, I'm the fucking boy here. And it goes in undulations of peaks and troughs. But one of my mentors said to me the other day is like, if in doubt, zoom out. If you're struggling and it's difficult, zoom out, because it's not even a blip over the grand scheme in the next 10 years. So yeah, really interested to hear that. And it's reaffirming as well. Like I said, we're not rushing. You can't be the best at training or the best at lifting. I think the reality is, obviously, you know, you've got a physical presence built like a brick shit house. So people see that and they're like, I want to look like that and I want to be able to do that. And it's like, well, hold on, mate. We're not saying you can't do it, but you've got to be realistic and set your expectations about how long it's going to take. And if you want it and you're really committed to doing it, then it is definitely possible. So inside of those S&C sessions, like I've seen obviously on social media, doing a lot of sandbag work and stuff like that. How do you find that to be particularly beneficial to the way you like to play the game?
Yeah, kind of. Like I do a bit of sandbag work. I do a lot of grip work. It's what I've just done for a long, long time. So I'm guessing it's beneficial because I've done it for a long time. But it is definitely a mix of strength conditioning work, and I think grappling and wrestling in itself is a massive strength workout.
Yeah. If you're wrestling with lads who don't want to be held down and you're squeezing the fuck out of them, trying to like get that hip control, it's hard. Like anyone who's done it will know, like you finish the session, your hands are shaking, your forearms are fucking burnt out. If you've been playing on the bottom, like your hip flexors and your quads are absolutely fucking shagged.
Like there is 100% something to grappling strength. I think one thing, like I've had a few people say it recently, is like when we lock in that I have like almost like a different strength. It isn't from weights that I mean, like I'd like to think like that's from grappling for a long time.
Yeah.
But like it's in like complementary exercises like the sandbag stuff. Definitely helps just because it's incorporating a lot of my grip work. And I think the grip work, especially for the sort of game I play, is very, very like important for me. I play a lot from body lock, standing and the ground. Play a lot of side smash game on the floor as well. I depend a lot on my collar ties, wrist control. So like wrist control is huge for me in more or less every position on the feet and on the floor. And I do believe if you can control one wrist in 90% of the positions, that you've got a good chance of controlling that position. We do sparring in our gym where it's literally wrist control sparring, which just rips your forearms to bits. And then I think any grip work that I do in the gym helps with that as well. So yeah, I've been doing that for a long time, like some sandbag work and some grip work, and I do believe it has a good carry over across to me grappling.
Yeah, 100%. And I remember a while ago, I listened to Joe Rogan podcast and they were talking about Ben Askren. And obviously, Ben Askren's incredible athlete, great wrestler, but he's built like a fucking bag of yogurt. And everyone was saying, like, you get him in the weights room and he's weak as piss, but then you got him on the mats and you couldn't hang with him because he was so strong. And I'm an avid believer that sometimes the practices are in advance of the science. The science just hasn't figured out why what's happening is happening. They haven't been able to prove it. But, you know, there's many people that I train with that don't do a great deal of S&C, or it's largely body weight stuff, or some S&C, but again, 1 or 2 sessions a week, but they feel 20 kilos heavier and like they've been deadlifting for 10 years when you actually get into a clinch with them or start grappling with them. So in terms of conditioning, because again, through, you know, knowing a lot of people who are new into the sport, one of the biggest things that I see people struggling with is actually the conditioning, the ability to breathe, calm the fuck down and have the endurance to go like 3 5s, 5 5s. Earlier in your career, because as we've touched on, like you've built an enormous aerobic base and athletic base now, but earlier in your career, what were the kind of things you were doing from a conditioning perspective? Was it all mat-based conditioning, or was there some like road work, some like assault bike work? What were the things you were doing earlier in your career to build that aerobic base?
Well, I've done a lot of different conditioning. So we used to do quite a bit on a rowing machine. So our rowing sessions typically would be things like just your typical Tabata, 20 on, 10 off, 10 times, 4 sets, 30 on, 15 off, 8 times, 4 sets. Your work periods would be around 70-80% of your effort. And then obviously you'd have like 1 minute rest in between your sets. We've done running sessions, which would be like 400-meter sprints for a minute in between. Mat-based sessions were we'd incorporate like sprints with grip work, with specific judo drills, which they call uchikomi, basically turning them for techniques without actually finishing them, without throwing your partner. And then just sparring. Like it is, I think the conditioning side in grappling is a mix of what you do in the gym and what you do on the mat. As in, obviously, the more you can build your technique and build your feel for grappling, the more efficient you become in your movement. And I think, obviously, the more efficient you are with your technique, the less energy you're burning every time you do a specific technique. You start to learn where you can rest on the mat and where you're having to expend energy on the mat. So for us, it was like we'd always, when I was early on, I'd spar 3 times a week, and I'd probably hit conditioning, specifically conditioning, twice a week as well. And again, I've done that for a long time. So as well as developing my technique and learning where I can and I can't rest and being as efficient as possible, I've built this aerobic base over switching things like running a machine. Like we do, some of our running would be like 3 minutes as far as you could, 1 minute off 8 times. That'd be one session, or 4 minutes on as far as you could, 2 minutes off 8 times. So yeah, they were all pretty rough sessions, but over a long period, it's accumulated a decent aerobic base.
Yeah, 100%. And it's reiterating that same message. You can't necessarily cheat it. You can't try and pack it all into 1 week. It's got to be like with the end in mind. So I also want to give people hope though, and give people like tangible, actionable action steps, not just walk away and be like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to be shit for 10 years and that is what it is. But like even looking at just breaking it down into maybe like 3 month blocks of, okay, like what do I really want to work on developing over this 3 months? What's the shittest part of my game? Is it that I'm weak as piss, in which case S&C maybe needs to take a priority? Is it that I'm actually really strong, but I'm a bit fucking stiff, out of shape and unfit, in which case maybe spend some more time on the mats and do some more grappling and some more conditioning stuff? Because for me, certainly, like as I've got a little bit, like a tiny bit better with the game that I like to play, which is very top dominant, I've realized that I can coast quite a lot in grappling rounds, and in 5 minutes you get up and your heart rate's still basically in zone 3.
Yeah.
Then you go into a wrestling session and that's not a possibility, especially with standing in that room. Like it's constant like shots and reshots and hand fighting and stuff, and then that carries over so well. It takes out your comfort zone enormously because you can taste blood and you want to fucking throw up in the sessions, but then when you get into your grappling sessions, it feels again more comfortable because you're able to be much more efficient, and you feel it in your man as well. You feel the difference when who's done the work and who hasn't, because you feel them start to fade away after a couple of minutes of getting squeezed. You feel them start to fade away. So I would assume even at your level the same is true.
Yeah, it's exactly the same, mate. It's we do a lot of wrestling in the gym as well, and it's not even specifically to make everyone good at wrestling. I just say, like, if people can build a wrestling pace and like a wrestler's condition and carry that over to grappling, then I say grappling's easier.
Yeah.
If you can approach grappling with 70% of the pace you approach wrestling, and you learn them places where you can and you can't rest, there's hardly a position you can rest in wrestling.
It's constant threat.
The reason we wrestle is to make grappling easier.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally agree with that, mate. So I try and make myself feel uncomfortable at least 4 times a week, whether that's sparring or conditioning. And normally when I do that, I don't even know if it's just a mental thing, but I definitely feel a change when I'm sparring. It's easier. I find grappling compared to judo and wrestling, like judo is very physical as well. There's much more places you can rest in grappling what there is in judo and wrestling. So that's another good reason to cross train with things like that. Even if you're interested in doing any takedowns at all, I'd still recommend it just so you can carry over that pace and that conditioning to grappling.
100%. And even if you're looking at it from purely the sport perspective, again, you'll know a lot of white belts who train, 6 months and they're like, okay, I'm going to do a competition. And in the last week before the comp, they're like, shit, I should probably learn some takedowns. And it's like, actually, if you were training grip fighting, wrestling and or judo prior to that comp, not only would you be fit, you'd also be much more confident in your ability. And the skills carry over as well. Like, as you'll know, like the holds from judo, like the scarf holds and stuff like that. And the ability to pin your man and work heavily top pressure from a wrestling base massively carry over into grappling. If anything, it gives you more understanding of, I'm safe here, I can fucking rest here, I can chill out, versus like, oh, I don't really know if I'm safe or not, like where am I? So yeah, that's probably one of the big takeaways as well. Certainly I've lived that for experience, and it's good to hear you reiterate it fucking 20 years advance of where I will be, is the same is still true. Work off the feet, because there is no hiding place, there is no resting position, and then you'll find you're able to be more efficient. And I get what you mean, like in a grappling round, you're able to almost feel a little bit more venomous. Even when you're tired, you're still like, I've got loads in the bag here, and I can feel my man starting to get tired, and I've got more venom in the tank, and now I'm going to turn the screw, and now I'm going to put it on until eventually it wants me to sub him.
And like competition as well is a very different pace to training. Like even if you train hard, get to a competition and the stress of it, the environment gets better as the more experienced you are, but it's a different pace in itself. Like the amount of people that we've seen in the gym at the moment, all the new people, they're training really hard, but they go to a competition, they come off and they go, fucking hell, I'm really unfit. It's like, you're not unfit, mate. You've done 10 5s on Monday and breezed it. You just gassed in 5 minutes in a competition. That's not because you're unfit. That's everything else that comes with the stress of a competition. The anxiety, the pressure, the nerves. So like some of the training we'll do is to like simulate that. We'll do pressure training. So I'll just throw people in the middle. They've got to do like 4 rounds, one after the other with fresh people. And as much as that's maybe to tap into the conditioning a little bit, it's more to build that pressure environment where you feel like absolute shit. They actually get nervous because before I shout go, they know they're now probably failure. So they actually get that element of nerves in there. They get the stress of when they're sparring with the first person, they're looking over the shoulder and knowing that this person's coming out next. I find that sort of training's like the most similar to a competition environment. I think that's important to tap into as well. Is it goes back to being uncomfortable, because you can get really comfortable in your gym. Like if you're just doing jiu-jitsu and you're just in your gym and you don't cross train, it's like you can get into this routine where you're just rolling. I mean, you're rolling, it's very relaxed. You know what your partner's going to do. He knows what you're going to do. It's like you've kind of got to make yourself uncomfortable if you're a competitor, I feel. When you get to that competition, it's just you. Don't matter how good of a mate you've got at the gym. It's just you in the middle. Everyone's watching you. This lad who's on, you've never rolled with him before, and he's going to come at you 100%. Then you add your nerves to it as well, and it's a completely different environment. So I think if you can get as close to that feeling in training as well, it makes competition a lot easier to deal with.
Yeah. 100%. And anyone who's listened to this who has done a competition at whatever level will definitely resonate, identify with the nerve side of things. I haven't done a competition about 2019. I remember shit in the bed in a big way. And then I had worst case scenario on the mat, 5-minute round, back off. I was straight back on the mat again. So 10 minutes in the space of 12 minutes, I was absolutely gassed and ball bagged. And again, I knew I was fit going into it. But the adrenaline and the dump of adrenaline more specifically brings them fucking heavy legs, the dry mouth, your lungs feel like you just can't breathe fast enough.
Yeah.
Other than like gym specific conditioning like that in terms of conditioned rounds in order to put you under psychological pressure, because obviously we can't influence and affect what, as much as we might like to influence what other coaches do in their gym space. What would be any advice you'd give to aspiring competitors and grapplers to try and find that discomfort in their own life? Would you say go with more open mats, go and cross train at different gyms? What would be the advice you'd give them, mate?
Mate, I properly push cross training, but I do think it's got to be done in the right way. I think it's very, very important. Like I still cross train now massively. I go to Bradford every Tuesday and train with the lads over there, because I think you've got to put yourself against people you're not used to rolling with. You find out where you're going wrong. You find out what you're getting away with in your own gym. And it like for me, I don't get it anymore. But for people who haven't really done cross training that much, they'll be driving to another gym and they'll be fucking nervous. You know what I mean? They'll be nervous before they go in. It's a new environment. There's 20 lads on the mat who all want to roll with you because you're the fresh person in there. So it kind of gives you that same feel as well. But at the same time, you've got to be like clever with your cross training, as in your club's your base. Like for me, your gym is your base. So that's where you get your quality work. That's where you go to a competition, you make some mistakes. Whether you've won or lost, you've still made some mistakes. And you can take them back into your base and improve them and then practice them in your sparring and then nip out and get some rounds with different people and then bring different things back. I think where people go wrong with cross-training is that they do it too much. They're like, I'm going to go here Monday and then I'm going to go here Wednesday and I'm going to go here Friday. And it's like, right, now you're just mindlessly sparring and you're not getting any quality work in between. I'll cross-train every Tuesday. I'll probably get one problem every Tuesday. Yeah. And then a week, I'm tapping into that problem after Tuesday. And then I'll go next Tuesday. That problem won't happen again, but I'll probably come back with a new one. And so I'm always finding a problem, improving it for the rest of the week, finding another problem, improving it for the rest of the week. I think at the moment it's crazy. It's like there's some gyms that are like, you're not allowed to cross train, which is just fucking unbelievable. Goes on with adult. And then there's some places, not the gyms themselves, but there's some people that are just on open mats fucking 3 times a week, 4 times a week. And it's like, that's all good, but you basically just roll and you're not actually developing anything in between with the people that can help you at your gym, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, 100%. Because there's so many fucking things that can happen in a round that if you're just leaving it to chance of, I'm going to work on this one thing, you could do 10 rounds back to back and you might actually never pick up that position. Yeah. Whereas, like you said, if you've gone away and been tested, I'm a massive advocate, and this is how we basically approach life, is mining for problems. When everything seems fine and perfect and happy and on top of its game, that's when your antenna should be fucking waggling the most. Like, I'm not seeing something. There's a downside somewhere that I've not spotted yet. Go and get tested and then bring it back and say, right, I got arseholed because of this. And then I can obviously work on that, fortify it, and go back and, okay, I was able to advance in that position, but then he fucking caught me with that. Go back, work again. And I think, people always make analogies between grappling, sports and life, but it's pretty fucking true. Like, if you think everything's hunky-dory and perfect, if you're interested in consistently getting better and becoming a high performer, whether it's in work, whether it's in life and training, it doesn't fucking matter. If you think everything's sweet, that's not true. That's just naive and you're not seeing something. Yeah. Go and probe yourself. As you've said many times today, go and find discomfort and you'll get shown pretty quickly what you've been avoiding or what you've not seen or what's not been tested. Then you can fortify that. But it's pretty rare to find that mentality, mate. I speak to a lot of people on a daily basis as part of what I do. And it's very rare to find that mentality of someone of your caliber and your standard as well, that's genuinely humbling themselves and deliberately going out their way to get tested and to get probed in, for one of the better ways.
Yeah, like the way I think about it is I'd much rather someone catch me in the gym than when they do in a competition. Yeah. Like I said earlier on, I don't care if I get caught in training. Like, I get caught in training, it's like straight back up, tap hands, go again. Yeah. I've logged what I've just been caught with and I'm going to work on that this week. But you don't do that and then you get to Polaris and you get tapped with that and then that's your fucking fault. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm on Polaris in about 7 weeks or something like that. So I go on Polaris, get tapped with something that could have been addressed 8 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I've only got myself to blame for that. Do you know what I mean? If I've been putting myself out there all the way through, making fuckloads of mistakes, addressing them, and then I go on Pilates and then I get tapped, I'm all right with that. I can live with it. It's like, you've done everything, mate. You've put yourself out there.
Yeah.
You're much better by the end of this 8-week block. You're much better than what you was at the beginning. You've gone in and it wasn't enough. That's fine. Which then I think that taps into how I managed to overperform, because it's like, I genuinely go in there and of course I want to win, but I'm not bothered. It's like, I've done everything I can, so I'm going to go out there and I'm going to go fucking mental. If it's not enough, it's not enough. Like, I couldn't have done anything else. Like, I've lost matches in the past and I know I could have done more, and that's when it's fucking bad. That's when you go home that evening and you're like, I could have done this, I could have done that, and you can't fucking sleep. Whereas now, it's like, I can take a loss now because I know everything I'm doing is absolutely bang on.
Yeah, and I think that's actually something a lot of people need to experience, is rather than bluffing themselves, is actually really experience that horrible taste of, I lost because I'd fucking jacked on myself, because I'd not worked hard enough and I wasn't being honest with myself in preparations for whatever the event, whether it's even a fucking promotion at work, but you've been fucking skipping about, whether it's in a gym, event, race, course, promotion, whatever. Be honest with yourself. And we use something in the program called the mirror test. Every day, look yourself straight in the mirror. Did I do everything I needed to do today to the very best of my ability? If you're going to bluff yourself and say yes when you know it's a no, that's a different fucking problem. If you can say yes, like you said, you can be really comfortable and confident and say, I just wasn't the man on the day, but I know what I can do to get better. And then you've got data, and you can obviously go away and work on that without being emotionally attached to it. Do you keep a journal at all, like a training journal, off the back of, I got caught with this, I want to work on that?
Oh no, mate, no. Like, I've written everything down. Like, I've kept journals for 10 years, but it's been more like what I need to work on.
Yeah.
I don't log like specific people and what they do or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just always logged what I need to work on. And then, say like the other week, I struggled passing reverse De La Riva. I was stuck in a reverse De La Riva, struggled passing. So like, I'd write that down, and then I'd write a few ways that I'm going to start drilling to pass that, and gone to the same person the week after and just fucking walked through it. So like, I've been doing that for a long, long time though. Like, I must have 15 books that I'll probably never even look through ever again.
Yeah, but it's that process of working out on pen and paper.
Yeah.
But I can identify with that in the moment. Like, you can only work a problem so well when you're really fucking tired. But then it's normally for me in the drive home, or when I get in bed and my mind's wearing, and I think, that was it. I need it to fucking put a hook in there or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And obviously I journal. I've even got it with me now, like notes off today, and I see an enormous amount of value in it. So if you were speaking to the people that are listening to this, many of whom might be in the first couple of years of grappling, some might be more advanced and experienced, would you recommend that's a practice that you think you've seen a lot of benefit from?
Yeah, like the main bit of my journal that I genuinely think I've found massive benefits from is, and I've done this since I was a kid, like proper kid, like 8 years old. When I've been shown something on a session, I write it down.
Yeah.
Always. Like, genuinely, every single technical session that I've ever been on has been written down for like the last 20 years.
They're worth a lot of money on eBay right now, that, mate.
I don't know. Honestly, mate, I've got stacks of them, but it's like, for me, it's almost like a second revision. Yeah. Like, to people in our gym, some people just don't fucking think for themselves. Like, how's your technique? And I know for a fact, I'm like, right, lads, good session. They leave and it's gone. It's just like, oh, that's a session done, tick. I've trained on Monday, tick. If you pulled half of them people up a year down the line and you were like, right, get a piece of paper now and write down your basic game. Tell me how you're going to pass close guard, half guard, knee shield, half butterfly, reverse De La Riva. Tell me how you're going to pass open guard. Like, some very good people, you just fucking won't be able to do it.
Yeah.
Like, that to me is insane. Like, even like to this day now, I'm just over the top with it, I think, a little bit. But like, even to this day, there's times where I'll just sit down somewhere, grab a book, and I will literally just write 2 passes that I use past every position. And if I can't do that off the top of my head, then there's no fucking chance I'm ever going to be able to do that when I'm blowing out my ass in the middle of them. So I think, like, you've almost got to revise it like you would at school.
You just got to know it.
It's got to be in there, mate. Because, like, you've got half a second to be able to make them decisions in a high-pressure environment against a really good opponent who's probably going to know a counter to your pass. So it goes on forever. Like, you're going to have a pass, and you're going to have to anticipate each reaction, and then you're going to have a counter to that reaction. If you can't even write down the first fucking step to pass each position,
you've got fucking no chance.
You've got no chance. So
no, I buy into that massively. Like you look at any of a skill and discipline, like you need to be able to do the process. Even like a work environment, if you ask someone, okay, how do you do this process at work? They'll know it, and that's why they can do it at the fucking eye shut. That's why they're bored doing it. So actually knowing it, and jiu-jitsu are probably out of all sports is one that most people get massively fucking overwhelmed with. And the first 6 months are like, there's so much to know, and I don't even know 0.1% of it. So if you've got all these random dots of information in your brain, write it down is a way to make mental models. Then it all starts to make sense. And that's for me is when I started to see changes. It's actually when I started really hitting the over underpass, because that then unlocked guard passing to then progress up the chain to a north-south position. I started to see change in it, and I started to be able to figure it out, and I knew in my head like what that mental model was. So Eddie Jones says that winning constantly is abnormal, and obviously you've done a lot of winning recently, and we can see now because technically it's quote unquote abnormal behavior. But if you want to be really fucking good at something, then you don't want to be normal. You have to behave in an abnormal way. So writing stuff down, visit it, revisit it, know it in your fucking sleep. Like you said, we work with a lot of people obviously in sort of elite units or law enforcement, and they're doing dry drills of a weapon system over and over and over and over and over again. So they know where everything is, even when their eyes shut, they could point out and do that job. It needs to be the exact same. If you want to be good at grappling, whether that's from a self-defense perspective or a competitive perspective, don't rely on thinking, oh, I'll figure it out when I get there, because you fucking won't. You'll shit the bed. I've been there.
It's like, genuinely to be good isn't that enjoyable. Do you know what I mean? Where everyone's like, just enjoy it. I enjoy elements, but it's not that enjoyable. Like there's more, like, of course, it'd be absolutely great to just be able to rock up to the gym every day, not think about anything and just roll. That's fun. But you genuinely, you don't get good like that. Like there's got to be so much focus into your sparring, so much focus outside of your sparring. Like something doesn't work in sparring, then if you this is only if you genuinely want to be good, not a hobbyist. Genuinely want to compete and like go to a high level. It does take over your mind a little bit. It's like you train, then you've got to revise what was good, what wasn't. If something was really bad and you really struggle, then you've got to find the solution to that. Then you've got to try and practice that next time. And just constant problem solving. And it has to be very over the top for it to start being.
But I mean, even that for hobbyists, as we spoke about before we came online, I've got an event next April that means I can only be a hobbyist until that point. Then afterwards, I'll have a little bit more time and energy back. But even for me, it's only fun if I'm getting better. So the concept of walking in, fucking flailing about for 2 hours 3 times a week and then walking back out is not actually that fun. Like I'm someone who needs structure and needs a purpose and needs like a longer term, even if it's a really longer term goal, like I'm prepared to just progress at a less accelerated rate for the next 6 months, but still progress. If I'm getting an arsehole with the same thing week in, week out by the same people, that I'd be like, this is fucking shit. It needs to be, even if it's not like nothing's ever black and white, is it? It's on a continuum. So, you know, if you want to be where you're at, then it's got to be top end of that. If you want to be a hobbyist, I'd still suggest being middle ground, like still do some study, like Grapple Club, and that make it so easy now to download an instructional, fucking watch it in your spare time, and it's going to teach you a lot more than fucking Netflix or fiddling with your ass.
You can get like real simple things like Atos, you know, the gym Atos. They have that BJJ on demand. Now I've bought that for our club, so I've put that in our group. So like it's as easy as one of them lads could struggle with something in training. They could click on an app on the phone, type that position and get 15 solutions and pick one from there. I mean, it's that easy nowadays it's all out there for you now.
And that takes away the need to go like, if people don't want to comp for whatever reason, they're not getting exposed, they can get exposed in a hard round in the gym and be like, oh, he ran through my guard, I don't know why, watch that video and then take that into your next training session for the next month and like, fortify that, like my knee shield was shit and I'm going to work on it.
Literally that easy nowadays. It's all out there. It's just whether you want it or not.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
You can't force someone, can you? It's like, that's the mistake I made when I first opened the gym. I was like, I had this image in my head where I wanted it to be like where I've just come from in Camberley. And Camberley's like, it's different. Like everyone's relocated to go to Camberley because they are all obsessed with getting to one place, which is the Olympics. So everyone's just well over the top with everything. I tried to bring that in from day one and didn't take into account that 70% might not be that way inclined.
70% working 9 to 5. Or training because they don't want to be at home.
You just realise like you can't put it into someone. Like if comes up to me and says, I want to do this, then you can be like, right, if you're saying I want to do that, then I'm going to make you do these specific things, which I know are going to help me to get there.
Yeah.
But until someone says, I want this, then you can't put that on everyone, can you?
It's very much the same way that we sort of do business and hard to kill is like, if you put your hand up and say, okay, I want to be part of that and I want to achieve X, Y, and Z, then we'll bring everything to bear. But you've got to want to be here. Like, we're not the kind of people who twist your arm and coerce and say, come on, mate, you've got to be doing this. If you've told us you want to do it, you should have the drive to be here. It's just that you need leadership and direction, education to make it happen for you. So yeah, it's interesting that even in totally different worlds, totally different sports, the same concepts fucking apply. I've always said this, and it's good to hear it from you as well, that the same concepts apply. You've got to fucking want to be there. You've got to want to put the work in, even when the work doesn't feel fun. In fact, it very rarely feels fun. It feels shit and boring.
Oh, mate, it's terrible. Like, that's what, like a while ago, about 6 months ago, I tried to make like a full-time thing in our gym. So like my dream with the gym is the gym's going fantastic now. And if it stayed as it was for the next 10 to 20 years, that'd be absolutely fine. But like my big dream with the gym is to like one day be able to have like a pro team.
Yeah.
We're all competing on the biggest shows, whether that be MMA, grappling or whatever. And we have like a pro training every day, 10 a.m. till half 12. And I do that Monday to Friday. And then I don't have to see them people early morning or evening. And then I'd set them all up with strength and conditioning to do around that. So they'd just be training 5 days a week, 2.5 hours every day. And then the little strength conditioning bits on top of that and around it. But about 6 months ago, like I tried to start this. So I've said like, right, full-time training every morning, every evening. I'll sort your strength conditioning out, who wants in. So I've got about 20 people. So they all come and I'm like, right, before we start this, I'm going to tell you the truth now. This is going to be fucking shit. It's not like, what do you mean? Like, I love it. And I'm like, you love it as it is now. Like, you like going to work, eating a bit of shit. Can't be arsed doing weights tonight, so I won't do it. Oh, I'm going to go and get some rounds at Carlson's, so I'll go in. I was like, once you say I'm full-time, that means like you can't text me and say, I'm not going to come to training this morning. I've woke up tired. Like, it doesn't fucking, at that point, it doesn't matter if you're tired. It's like a job, innit? You can't have a day off from work because you're tired.
Yeah.
1 month in, 2 months in, the amount of drop-offs is just ridiculous, because it's just like you can't put it into someone, and it all comes around when you see people like Daisy Fresh, where people see the success that these lads are now having and how cool it looks to live on a mat. And everyone's like,
I literally fucking sleep on the mat.
yeah, it's like, I'd love to do that. It's like, you fucking wouldn't, mate. It's absolutely shit, which is why only a handful of people come through, make it to that level. Like, if it was easy, everyone would be at that level. Like, it's not enjoyable. Like, you've got to train when you're absolutely broken. You've got to get out of bed when you're absolutely broken and push to another level again. Your diet's got to be absolutely bang on. You can't just go on the piss whenever you want. Like, you got to be revising beforehand. You got to be revising after it. You got to be traveling. You got to have no money. It's a shit lifestyle, but like, you can only do it if you really want it.
Yeah, exactly. If you want that abnormal outcome and you want to be that person on the podium, getting all the wins and the trophies and the silverware and whatever, then you've got to go through the abnormal circumstances, which is rarely ever. If you look at any walk of life, like genuinely nothing worth having is going to come without an enormous amount of pain. Whether it's for a lot of people want to get into elite units or get like specialist roles, it's not going to come because the course or the selection criteria is fun. It's going to be minging for at least 6 months of your life. It's going to be awful. It's going to break you, but that's the price that you pay. And I've always said this to our guys and to anyone I speak to, really, never compare yourself to someone that you think is mega, because you don't know the price it took, that was paid in pain to get there. And it might well be, most likely is that the price that they paid in pain is not one you're prepared to or willing to make. 100%. So just respect them for what they've achieved and take inspiration away from it. Like, a lot of people will listen to you speaking now and they'll take an enormous amount of inspiration about where you've come from, what you've done and what you're now achieving and will go on to achieve. But they probably do not want the pain that you've gone through to achieve it. But they can still take inspiration and say, well, that's what's possible. And if I find myself on that continuum, I'm going to take what we've spoken about today, I'm going to apply that because it's going to make me better. And I'll have even more respect for guys like yourself. And this is my place within that kind of story. And I want to get my own version of that.
Yeah, that's it, mate. It's just, like, I've not done anything special. It's just been a long time I've given my life to it. Like, I've got no qualifications or anything outside of this. Like, I've genuinely got nothing outside of it. Like, from 16 to 25, I was literally, I'm going to an Olympic Games and that is it. All I literally had in my head after it was, because I'm going to put that much into it, I've got nothing else. I don't know anything else. So when I've been to an Olympic Games, I'm just probably going to end up coaching judo somewhere. Like, you're not even realistic about what real life's like.
Yeah.
You're just like your own little bubble. And I still didn't even make it to a fucking Olympic Games, which shows you how hard it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, people can genuinely, like, I fully believe that anyone can get to the top level. It's just,
if you're prepared to pay the price
to make them real sacrifices. Like,
one thing that is a particular grievance to me, like, absolutely pisses me off, is the amount of people in my space in the health and fitness industry talk about, you know, getting uncomfortable and doing this, that, and the other. And then I know for a fact that person is being disingenuous because they still live a very comfortable life. They've never done anything where they felt vulnerable. They've never had to overcome any adversity or challenge or real hardship. It just sounds good on a Facebook or Instagram post when they're telling Sally, drop 10 pounds. And I'm like, you're full of shit, mate.
Yeah. Social media, mate, is just an absolute nightmare at the minute. There's just so much absolute bollocks on it.
Yeah.
Like, every man and his dog's a coach nowadays. You got people, like, I think it's a big thing to be a coach. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a real big responsibility. Like,
you're changing people's lives and people are trusting your ability to change their lives. Like, I get asked this all the time about, can I do an 8-week this, that, and the other? I'm like, mate, I've been doing it for 10 years and I still am growing every single day and speaking to new people who know different things. And I draw a lot from other walks of life. I say, if I could learn all this in 8 weeks, don't you think I would have done it? Don't you think I'd have taken that fucking course? Yeah. It's a long road.
It's it's bad, mate. It's like, almost, I was saying this to someone the other day, it's like, if you were a cowboy builder or a cowboy electrician, you're getting fucking shit for that. You know what I mean? If you went and did a dodgy job on someone's house, you're getting some shit for that. You took a load of money off them. There's nothing like that in martial arts. It's like, if you look the part and you've got a good way of posting on social media, people pay you to train them. And it's like, you don't even know what they're fucking on about. Been doing it 2 years themselves.
Yeah.
And you're now putting all your trust and money into them. You've never done anything themselves. It's like that for me, someone that I'll only train under someone that's been through the mill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can look at them. They don't have to have been world champion, but like, I have to be able to look at them and be like, I will fucking graft for him because he's done it himself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And there's just, at the minute, it's a very easy income for a lot of people at the minute. It's like, people don't know what they don't know. Yeah. So you get these people coming in and see some pictures on social media and they hear the bullshit in first conversation. They just fall for it, man. It's fucking bad, to be fair, but I can't see it changing anytime soon either.
And the reality is that it's partly the fault of, especially the health and fitness industry, because we keep making fucking beautiful idiots famous because they look fucking mega and then they can sell this thing. And I've got my own thoughts and issues about that. But then also, like, we always glorify this short-term gratification, and the message that both you and I carry, that it's a long-term pursuit of mastery, it's a long and it's unforgiving, and you have to work on it every single day, isn't sexy. And a lot of people don't want to hear it because they're failing to take responsibility for the fact they're not taking control over what they can take control of. So they're looking for something that makes them feel mega, whether that's fucking spending money on a shit coach and thinking that it's an attendance course. Could go on about that all day. I probably won't open that kind of worms today, but yeah, it is something that I'm very, very aware of. And I have 2 phones now. One that I do my social media posts from and it goes away, and another one that has no Instagram, no Facebook, no nothing, because it just is a constant grievance that I'm like, you're full of shit, mate. Like, I know for a fact, I know you, I know where you live, I know where you train, I know your mates, and you have lived a high life, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can't help what you're born into, whether that's wealth, whether it's poverty, that's fine.
Oh, yeah.
But you also have personal responsibility to be authentic, to carry a genuine message, and to coach from a place of authenticity, not to gob off about leaving your comfort zone. And the reality is, the most uncomfortable thing you've ever done is a hard leg session in an air-conditioned gym. Shut the fuck up, mate. That's just my perspective on it.
Oh, mate, fucking hell, unreal.
But on that note, mate, we'll probably fucking wrap it up there. Speaking about social media, where can people find you if they don't already follow you and they want to follow you and see your continued success and growth and evolution? Where can people find you on social media, mate?
I just say Instagram now, mate, because my face they both got hacked, but I was very lucky to get my Instagram back. So I've lost my Facebook. Yeah. But my Instagram is just Owen Livesey, mate. At Owen Livesey.
Cool. So if you want to follow him there. But yeah, mate, I want to circle back around and say thank you very much for your time today. I've enormously enjoyed the conversation. Probably could have gone on for another few hours, to be honest, but we'll wrap up there. So yeah, thank you very much, mate.
No, thanks for having us on, mate. It's been great.